If you've ever tried to improve yourself, become better, change your habits, but you keep struggling, you are not alone. And more importantly, there's nothing wrong with you. Most people in personal development will tell you, change your habits, be more disciplined, improve yourself. But they never really explain how to actually build habits that last. So you try, you start, and then you stop. You try again, and you fall back into the same patterns. Not because you lack discipline, but because you don't understand how it really works. Here's the truth. You can never outwork a misaligned identity. If your identity does not match the life you want, your habits will never stick. So the real goal is not just to work harder. The real goal is to build habits that align with the person you are becoming. And the good news is, this is not complicated. It's a simple system, but most people misunderstand it. By the end of this video, you will understand why your habits don't last, why you keep going back to old patterns, and what you need to do to finally change that. I'll show you how to build habits that support long-term success, so you don't have to force it anymore. You become the kind of person who naturally follows through. Because once your habits align with your identity, success is no longer something you chase. It becomes something you do. Building habits is very difficult for someone who does not understand how the human mind works. That is the real problem. It's not that habits are hard, it's that most people are trying to build habits without understanding the system they are working with. But for someone who understands how the mind actually works, building habits becomes much easier. Not because they try harder, but because they do it the right way. And the truth is, the simplest way to build habits that actually last is to learn how to work with your mind. Or better still, how to trick it. Yes, you need to trick your mind into building the habits you want. Now I know, that might sound strange. Some people might even disagree with that. They might think, why would I need to trick my own mind? But don't rush that idea. Stay with me. Because by the time you understand how your mind actually operates, you will see why this is not manipulation, it is strategy. You see, your mind is not naturally designed to help you grow. It is designed to keep things the same. It wants what is familiar. It wants what is comfortable. It wants what it already knows. So anytime you try to build a new habit, something in you resists. Not because the habit is wrong, but because it is new. And your mind sees anything new as something to avoid. So if you try to force habits without understanding this, you will always struggle. But when you understand how your mind works, you stop forcing and you start guiding. You start creating conditions that make the habit easier and more natural. That is what I mean by tricking your mind. You are not fighting it, you are working with it. And once you understand this, everything about building habits begins to change. The first step to building habits that actually last is belief formation. You cannot build a habit without building the belief first. The habits you have right now are supported by beliefs, deeply rooted in your subconscious mind, whether you realize it or not. Let me explain it in a simple way. You cannot have a tree without roots. You don't see the roots, but the roots are what produce the tree. In the same way, your beliefs are the roots and your habits are the tree you see with your eyes. If the root is weak, the tree cannot stand. If the root is wrong, the tree will grow in the wrong direction. So if you try to build habits without building the right beliefs first, those habits will never last. This is where most people get it wrong. They try to force habits without first building the beliefs that can support. And that is why they keep failing. So the real question becomes, what beliefs do you need to support the habit you want? Let's take a simple example. If you want to become consistent, if you want to follow through on what you start, you need to build beliefs that supports consistency. Beliefs like, I am someone who follows through. I finish what I start. I do what I said I would do. These are not just words, they are instructions you are giving to your mind. So at this stage, you need to sit down and define clearly the beliefs that match the person you are trying to become. Then you begin to repeat them every morning, every evening, or both. Because remember, your subconscious mind learns through repetition. You are not just saying these things, you are replacing old beliefs. Beliefs that support your current habits. Beliefs that keep you inconsistent, that keep you stuck, that keeps you going back. And the more you repeat the new beliefs, the more you weaken the old ones. You begin to reduce the resistance that comes with building new habits. Because now, your mind is no longer fighting you as much. Instead, you are preparing it. You are building the root first before expecting the tree to grow. Because if the root is right, the habit becomes easier. Build the belief first, and the habit will follow. After you define your beliefs and you begin to repeat them, the next step is action. But not just any action, conscious action. And the reason I say conscious action is because at this stage, your subconscious mind will not help you. You cannot expect your subconscious to carry out a habit it has not accepted yet. The subconscious mind does not create habits. Its job is to automate habits after they have been created and accepted. So at this stage, you are on your own. And this is where most people fail, because this stage feels like a struggle. It feels like a war. You are trying to do something new, but your old habits are pulling you back. And this war shows up in different ways. You start feeling resistance. You start making excuses. You start forgetting what you said you would do. You start negotiating with yourself. And if you don't understand what is happening, you will give in. But this is not failure. This is your old programming trying to survive. Your subconscious mind is holding on to what it already knows, because to it, your old habits are safe, and your new habits are a threat. So it will do everything it can to pull you back. It will remind you of past failures. It will give you excuses. It will make the new habit feel difficult. It will attach negative meaning to it. But you have to see this clearly for what it is. It is not you. It is your old beliefs trying to keep control. And this is where your power comes in. Your conscious mind may only be 5%, but it is the programmer. And the programmer has control over the program. So even though your subconscious feels stronger, you are still in charge. This is why you must act consciously. You do what you said you would do, even when you don't feel like it. You follow through, even when it is uncomfortable. You stay consistent, even when your mind is resisting. Because every time you act, you are sending evidence to your subconscious mind. And that evidence begins to weaken the old habit and strengthen the new one. But you must understand this. This stage takes time. You are not just building a habit, you are rewriting a program that has been running for years. So you must outlast the resistance. You must stay with it long enough for your subconscious mind to accept the new habit. Because once it accepts it, everything changes. The struggle reduces, the resistance fades, and the habit becomes automatic. But until then, you must stay in control and act consciously. So the next time you want to build a habit that actually lasts, follow this system. And if you apply it properly, you will start to see changes faster than you expect. In fact, you may not even realize when you become the person you were trying to be. Now let me simplify everything for you. The first thing you need to understand is this. Any habit you are trying to build, you already have the opposite habit. If you are trying to become consistent, it means you are currently in the habit of being inconsistent. So you are not starting from zero, you are replacing one pattern with another. And behind that habit is a belief. So the next step is to build a new belief that supports the habit you want. Ask yourself, what do I need to believe about myself to become this person? If you want to be consistent, your beliefs must reflect that. Beliefs like, I am someone who follows through. I always finish what I start. Finishing requires focus. Once you define these beliefs, you begin to repeat them every morning, every evening, or both. Because you are not building belief in your conscious mind, you are building it in your subconscious mind. And your subconscious mind responds to repetition and emotion. So don't just repeat the words, feel them, connect with them. This is where you are building the root of your new habit. Now after that, you must act, but not casually, consciously. You become present and you act in alignment with the person you are becoming. If you are building consistency, then act like a consistent person. A consistent person focuses on one thing at a time. A consistent person shows up, whether they feel like it or not. A consistent person does not give excuses, does not compromise. They do what needs to be done. That is how you build the habit. Not by wishing, not by thinking, but by aligning your beliefs and your actions. And when you do this consistently, your subconscious mind begins to accept it. And once it accepts it, the habit becomes automatic. And at that point, you don't struggle anymore. You simply become that person. And when you build your habits this way, there is no habit you cannot build. Now let's talk about something most people don't want to hear: time. Building habits takes time. There is no exact number. Some habits take a few weeks, some take a few months, some take even longer. But one thing is certain, it does not happen overnight. You cannot expect to repeat something for a few days and expect it to become automatic. Because what you are really doing is rewiring your mind. You are building new patterns, new neural connections, new ways of thinking and acting. And that process takes time. But here is the part most people miss. They see this as a long process. They think, this is too much. This will take too long. But ask yourself this: how long have you had your current habits? 10 years? 20 years? 30 years? You have spent years reinforcing those patterns. So why do you expect to change everything in a few days? When you look at it that way, spending a few months building a new habit is actually a very small price. It is not long, it is necessary. Because you cannot shortcut this process. You cannot cheat your way into success without building the habits that support that success. And this is the simplest way to do it. Build the belief, reinforce it, act on it, and stay with it long enough for your mind to accept it. That is how real change happens. I hope this helped you understand how habits are actually formed and why you've been struggling to stay consistent. I've given you the system, but understand this: the system will not work if you don't work it. If you are serious about building habits that actually last, habits that move you closer to the life you want, then you have to apply this. Not once, not twice, but consistently. Because it is repetition that makes it stick. It is repetition that tells your mind, this is important. If you got value from this, share it with someone who needs to hear this. And don't just watch this once. Watch it again. Go through it again. Because understanding comes from repetition. Have a great day, and I'll see you in the next video.